What's up, YouTube? Dark Lord Diablos coming at you with a deck profile I like to call Frog Penguin, or Penguin Frog, or Frogwins, however you want to make a pun out of that. This deck is famously played by Crom, I believe, from Yugioh, one of the big five, and in the Abridged series, one of the members of 4Kids, who respectively says, "Penguin, penguin, 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 penguins," and is obviously obsessed with them, as much as Japanese schoolgirls. Seriously, you should go watch the Abridged series from Little Karibo, it's funny. Now, I wanted to make this deck work, because it's really interesting, because the way Penguins focus on is a flip play style, which is not really good. In fact, the only competitive flip style deck is Shaddolls, and it's not really because of their flip effects. I'm telling you, it's mostly because of their fusion monsters and their fusion mechanic more than their flip style monsters. But this mostly revolves around Penguin Soldier. When it's flip face up while attacked, or when you flip summon it face up, you can target up to 2 monsters on the field and return those to the hand. This was really good back in the old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the Legend of Blue Eyes era, I believe. I could be wrong about that. I know this was really good in Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a bunch of idiots, including myself, just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Without any rhyme and reason. So, at least knowing that sense, it's pretty good. Today's standards, bouncing back 2 cards to the hand, it can interrupt plays if you're able to do it during your opponent's turn, which this card facilitates. Penguin Brave. Your opponent cannot target face-down defense position monsters you control with card effects, which is decent. I'm not going to say it's amazing. I wish it gave them complete effect protection. And you can only use each of the effects once per turn. When you synchro summon Penguin Brave, you get to set a penguin monster from your deck to the field automatically, and when your opponent activates a monster effect, as a quick effect you can flip a card face up. Your main target normally is going to be Penguin Soldier, but you also want to try to have no penguin in the graveyard, because every time a penguin monster effect activates, he is special summoned from the graveyard. And also, one of his effects is anytime a card is bounced to the hand, instead of bouncing it, it gets banished. That is pretty much the penguin combo you want to do. Now, how do we facilitate the synchro monster out? Is with the main deck maker, Penguin Squire. He cannot be used for synchro material except for a water monster, and if a monster is set to your field, you can special summon him. And when from your hand, and reduce its level by 1 or 2. Normally, if you're going to set something, you just normally match his level up to 6, so you can bring out Penguin Brave so you can make more plays. What would be good to do is have both of these cards in the hand, so you can set him, summon him, reduce his level to 3, flip him up with his effect, because he can flip another penguin monster up with his own effect, synchro into Brave, and then either set Penguin Soldier, or, depending on if you're going up against Altergeist, Penguin Ninja to the field. Upon activating that effect, no penguin will come out from the graveyard. You normally set them in attack and defense, depending on your viability. Then you wait your opponent to do something to interrupt their plays. Now again, not really the best cohesive deck style, but it's pretty fun to pull off. Next, we run the Great Emperor Penguin, a level 5, which we can reduce the level by hand, but basically you contribute him to summon 2 penguins from your deck. Normally what you want to do with him is just summon 2 Penguin Soldiers and the XE summon into Totally Awesome, or Treat Toad, which I'm going to call him for the rest of the game. Well, the video. This card, Royal Penguin Garden, when active, lets you add a penguin card to your hand. Mostly it's going to be him, or whatever combo penguin piece you need at the time. It also has a card which you can discard a card to decrease the level of 1 penguin monster in your hand, or face up on the field by 1, which helps out with synchro plays. I'm actually thinking about taking this card out, Puny Penguin. Due to me working, I haven't really had time to really think if I should leave this in here or not. But I'm probably going to leave it out. That's why I'm going to put him in the side deck. He is okay, it's just when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard after being flipped face up, target a penguin monster in your graveyard except this card and special summon the target in face up attack position or face down defense position. The problem is, in many of the games I played with this deck, this effect really didn't come in handy. At all. So, yeah. Honestly, I think it being in my hand, it being the deck, clogs up the deck's flow more than anything. The next two Penguin support cards we have is Penguin Cleric. If a Penguin monster is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard by a card effect, even during a damage step, you can target one of them, discard this card, and if you do, special summon that target. Mostly you just run this because it's an extra Penguin and it's level 3 and it can make easier synchro summons. Galactic Beast Polar Penguin. Actually is surprisingly funny and really good. I have got this effect off many times. This card can be special. If this card is special summoned, you can target a monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. I never really pulled that off. But if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, including your own, hint hint, you can bounce a card. And because it's an effect that goes off that is a Penguin card, it also affects no Penguin, so this gets destroyed by, let's say, Torrential Tribute, no Penguin comes out, and the card you bounce is now banished. It's just a funny synergy. Now the rest of the cards, obviously, is the frog side of things. I run 2 Swamp Frogs. You can switch on this card by discarding another water monster to the graveyard, which is good fodder for no Penguin if he's in your hand. Also, when he's summoned to the field, you can send a frog from your deck to the graveyard. Or you can send a level 2 water aqua monster from your deck to the graveyard. Yeah. Once per turn, you can target return one monster you control to their hand, and you can normal summon a frog monster during your main phase this turn, except for himself. I've never used that effect, but I'm pretty sure it can come in handy. So mostly what you want to do is, you know, send either Rodentonen or no Penguin with his effect. Well, actually, you know, just Rodentonen with his monster effect. You can discard no Penguin for his special summon effect, though. Then we have Rodentonen, which basically says this becomes Death Frog and while it's on the field in the graveyard. That has literally nothing to do with this deck. But it can be special summoned from the graveyard by banishing a frog monster from your graveyard. And that is really good because he's a level 2 aqua monster. Dupe Frog, it's basically a great target to be special summoned from the graveyard. And if he's destroyed or sent to the graveyard, you can add a frog monster from your deck to your hand. Also, while he's on the field face up in a defense position, well, any position, but you're going to have him in defense position, your opponent can't attack anything but him. Which, you know, isn't much nowadays, but it's surprisingly funny. So with all of this, you're expecting a great cohesion of archetypes to work in balance with each other. You'd be wrong. Also, yeah, the traditional one-offs, I'm not really going to go through them. They're obvious why they're here. So I'm going to show one replay. Note, I do lose in this replay, but it shows off what this deck can potentially do. Mostly because, again, I want to try to get these videos out in a timely manner. And I have work. So I'm going up against a friend of mine named Fletch, who's running Wind Witches, which is kind of funny. So if he will allow me, I will do a deck profile on his deck if y'all want it. So if y'all want to see what he is running, his deck profile, I'll ask him if I can do so. But other than that, we're just going to see what this does. So I use that to add Squire and attempt to use Squire's effect, but he negates it with Crystal Wing because I'm a dumbass. Then I summon Totally Awesome. Then we basically attempt to negate each other, but I forgot about Glassbell's effect. And then Totally Awesome allows me to recycle himself back to the hand. Dupe Frog allows me to add Swamp Frog back to the hand, and then I bounce both of them. Because I bounced it, I was able to remove them from the field. Now note that I bounced it back to the extra deck. I do not know what this does. Oh yeah, that's right, it's supposed to use that in defense. You salvage to add monsters back to the hand, and then try to, you know, make more plays. I'm slowly getting burned as the time goes on. Bring back Totally Awesome. Set Penguin Knight and set Torrential. Now I summon Miss Starboy, which while he's on the field, all monsters gain an attack bonus. Which you would think come in handy, but it surprisingly does. This deck has really good recursion. Even after your board is beaten, you can still recover if you're able to make plays next turn. I probably should have used Moray of Greed here, but I didn't. And this is when you synchro summon Penguin Brave, and I set another Penguin Squire to the field because I was going to try to defeat him next turn. But regrettably that never happened. If I would have set Penguin Knight, I could have bounced those cards that he summoned back and could have won. But again, I am an idiot. Oh, so I'm going to pause it right here. So you saw how he brought back... Oh, so hit the wrong one. Okay, that is weird. I don't like that. So you saw how he brought back... Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. He completely forgot that was in his extra deck, and I told him, like, yeah, you could bring out Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon and attack me for game. He's like, oh, yeah. Cool. And that's what happened. I basically, yes, I helped him win. We're in voice chat with this. I just thought it would be a funny story to tell. Also, his effect activates, which is kind of funny. That is how basically you play the deck. If you're more competent than me, you could do a lot more with this deck. I barely have time for testing anymore, but I try to make very fun and interesting decks with the new stuff coming out. I guess I could go into detail about my extra deck that you didn't see. This deck can bring out White Aura Dolphin, and you can use White Aura's Dolphin to go into White Aura Monochros and White Aura Whale. Decent enough. Coral Dragon is fun to bring out with Crystron Howl after bringing out Galactic Beast Polar Penguin and basically nuking your own field with Torrential Tribute to do even more stuff to your opponent. Never summoned this, probably going to take it out. But yeah, this is pretty much it. This has been Dark Lord Diablos going over the deck for Frog Penguins, and I hope you like this video. If you have any suggestions for this deck, put them down in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and there will be more deck profiles coming out probably once a week. Hope to see you next time. Ciao!